Now, the National Prosecuting Authority joins us to discuss whether or not former President Jacob Zuma's sentencing by the Constitutional Court will have an impact on his ongoing criminal case. NPA spokesperson Sipho Ngwema is with us tonight. Mr. Ngwema, good evening to you. I imagine you've had time to reflect on what the implications of the imprisonment of the former president would mean for his case in the Pietermaritzburg High Court.
Good evening, Cathy, and good evening to your listeners. No, I didn't have to think much, given the fact that the number of prisoners or accused persons who are in custody on a daily basis come to court. So they'll just have to come through the tracks of correctional services. And then in terms of their consultation with their legal representatives, they can do that with their in the cells, and they can either in prison or in the court. So for us, there is no implication whatsoever in terms of the proceedings before the Pietermaritzburg High Court.
Would the former president be able to bring in an application, perhaps looking at the strain that he might take while behind bars, given the fact that he is elderly and we know that he has had, different ailments over the years?
Fortunately, up to so far, with regard to that matter, those issues have not arisen. You know that there are other issues that have arisen with regard to his challenge in terms of his special plea, but those issues have not arisen. And if any of those things do arise, the NPA will have to deal with them, and we have to look at the merits of those things thoroughly. But for now, the matters proceed. I think the only thing that has arisen now is the fact that he will have to be imprisoned after 5 days. And as I said, I don't think that that's a challenge to the matter, given the fact that he will be able to have access to court, correctional services tracks, will be able to bring him to court, and will be able to consult with his lawyers in the cells, and he'll be able to be brought up through the cells back to the dock, so that the matter with regards to his corruption matter can proceed.
He seems to have two options in terms of where he hands himself over to the police. Does the jurisdiction matter in as far as the case in Pietermaritzburg being able to go ahead?
Not at all. If you look at the Senzo Moyiwa accused persons, they are all over. Some are in Gauteng and some are in KwaZulu-Natal, and the correctional service is able to bring them to court the day before, or to make the necessary arrangements so that they can be able to appear before the presiding officer. So no, as long as the person is still in South Africa, Correctional Services is able and has been able to do a wonderful job in terms of bringing prisoners before the presiding officers.
Does that not present with multiple security risks, not least of which because the individual we're talking about is a former head of state?
Correctional Services is equal to the task, and I think they've done that job throughout, and they're able to bring prisoners to court irrespective of the security threat. I think that if you look at the activities in Cape Town around the gang activities, and you look at anywhere in the country where security has to be tightened, Correctional Services has been able to deliver, and I'm sure in this particular case they'll be able to bring the prisoner to the matter in Pietermaritzburg.
Legally speaking, what are the reasons that former President Jacob Zuma would need to provide in order to perhaps pause the proceedings that are taking place in his in the arms deal matter?
That matter is proceeding, and if any matter he can bring before the judge will have to be thoroughly analyzed. So at this point, I don't see any reason why that matter should not proceed, given the fact that the judgment came out today. The only thing that the judgment does is to keep him in custody of Correctional Services, and the rest remains the same, and we are confident that that matter will not be affected.
Sipho Ngwema, he's with the NPA and sharing his own reflections there in terms of this case involving the former President Jacob Zuma. Well,